Hello and welcome to the Daily Record Euro 2024 Hotline Live. My name is Gavin Berry and I'm delighted to say that joining us from the calm after the storm, from their wheel...
Cheers. Well deserved.
Finally celebrating a point.
From the calm, yeah.
It's not even a pint, it's half a pint.
I was going to say from your wee oasis in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Keith Jackson and Scott McDermott, as I'm sure you know by now. You've been watching them throughout the tournament. So I say it as a wee oasis, Keith.
Man. Gav, I nearly cried tears of joy when we get back here today. It's like a big marshmallow town. It just gives you a big cuddle and wraps you up. No, you're safe here.
Keep saying it's safe. It's for happy place. It's for happy
town. It's a little happy town. So, my God, the journey here. So we left the stadium last night, and obviously you're kind of walking on air coming out of that because we got, I think, pretty much as much as we could have hoped for in terms of. I'd predicted a 1-1. I'm delighted about it because it's enough to keep us going right into the final game. The final game against Hungary becomes a cup final. Everything's on the line.
And crucially, the performance went up a level.
About 5 levels, 6 levels, back to something that's, similar to what we expect from this Scotland side. So all that was brilliant. A lot of work to do after the game. As usual with these things, you kind of leave the stadium, it's the back of one already. We managed to jump in a tram to get back into town. That's the only way of doing it from the Cologne Stadium. And I think it was kind of relatively empty, nice and comfortable. But 2 stops later, about 5,000 Tartan Army trying to get on with about 3,000 Swiss. So we're rammed into this thing, and then got another 2 stops down the road, and the driver just decided he'd had enough and just went home and left us.
The trams were finished for the night, so they just decided.
1:15, that's it.
A shift.
Guy just left. Guy got up, took his flask and his sandwiches, left, bolted, and we were left half an hour outside the city centre. So we had to back at 2 o'clock before we got back to the hotel. Up early this morning, 4.5-hour train journey to Munich. Off, switch trains, 1 hour 20 minutes down to get back into Happy Town.
Where the rain met us.
And as soon as we got off, once again, the rain was there, battering down. It was biblical coming into the place. In fact, it felt like, I know we're on a train, but it felt like going through a car wash, didn't it? It was just mental. So, but now, look, here we are, happy place. The sun is never that far away, especially when we're back in town, Scotty. I feel as if this little place is now connecting with us on a personal level.
It's for second home.
my heart bleeds for you boys.
I have to tell you, this is tasting very, very sweet. We just haven't stopped all day today, and I'm not asking for any sympathy because we're the luckiest 2 guys in the world about here just now.
Although the only thing, we've had so little to eat today, I think after 2 of these I'll be in my bed, I think.
Right, well, just you take it easy. But you came to my mind this morning, we were doing a piece, not that we like to get carried away at all, but after that 1 point on the board, we started looking at all the scenarios online to think, where could we play, who could we play? If we qualify, which is looking, well, let's be confident. And I was looking at the various opponents we could play and crucially the dates. And there's one scenario where we could, after the Hungary game on Sunday, we could have a 9-day wait before we play. And you 2 came to my mind as I was writing that piece and putting it online. I thought, have those 2 boys packed enough underpants for a 9-day?
There's no danger of that.
The definitive answer to that is no. I've not got enough underpants to get me through the next 24 hours.
Reach the knockout round. Scott's underpants are making people knocked out in this particular part. Listen, I tell you what though, obviously I don't know if you saw Gav the other night, but it appears that I've got the world's most expensive laundry bill. My stuff was waiting for me when I came back. It's been beautifully wrapped, folded, ironed.
Charged it, but
I've not seen the bill. I'm not looking forward to seeing the bill either, but there you go. You can't put a price on personal hygiene, isn't that right, Gav?
I'm going to the local laundrette. Gav, he's did it the posh way. I'm going to see Doc Cotton tomorrow. Garmisch's Doc Cotton. sort out my gear.
If they not got an indoor swimming pool, no, just go for a wee dip and just have a wee shake.
Well, your clothes on.
Aye. What's your time?
But Keith, By the way,
that's a point. Hold on, Gav. We've been here 2 weeks.
13 days now.
13 days. Not a weird single second to get into that swimming pool. We've
Not
got
a single
lovely swimming
sauna.
pool here. Not time. No saunas, no nothing. All we're doing is churning out stuff to do, and then obviously you guys are making us do the night shift as well.
Come on, Keith, it's me you're talking to. But you know what? It was an epic night, obviously. We'll get to that shortly, just going into the nuts and bolts of it. But as you know, Keith, from the Daily Record Hotline, years of reading the Daily Record Hotline and manning it, you can't please everybody. And Jim McLean can't believe the furore about Scotland getting a draw against the mighty Switzerland. Steve Clarke sent out the wrong team yet again and pumps his fist as if they had got a victory. Has there been any overreaction, do you think, to the result? Is that unfair?
It's just stupid. That's just a
Jim
stupid
be
thing
cheering
to say.
up?
It's just a stupid thing to say. We're at this tournament because we want to try and, progress. We want to try and show that we deserve to be at this tournament. We want to extend our stay. We want to make history. And we got a result last night. And so a lot of people would have said against the odds because of how badly we performed in the opening game. We got the result that we required last night. Mm-hmm. And it means that we are going into a 90 minutes winner bus showdown with Hungary. That if we win it, this team would achieve something that no other Scottish national side has ever achieved. People need to just kind of catch a grip a wee bit here.
You also need to manoeuvre your way through a tournament. No team that wins it ever goes through it and plays brilliantly the whole way through. I mean,
I think we're going to win it, Scott.
No, but after a couple of games when Greece won it, the Greeks were all moaning because they weren't playing great football as they get through their group.
I was there at that tournament. They were wrong.
Hey,
so,
did they not beat Portugal in the opener?
But the style of football.
Anyway, style of football, okay.
Right. So you do what you need to do. Scotland would have loved to get something for the opening game, and maybe we are guilty of that. Or we were guilty of that. Get into that first game actually expecting us to get something. No, Germany were rampant. They're going to be one of the big favourites. Obviously, they're going to go deep. So you put that to bed. We need 4 points. I think Switzerland are a better team than Hungary. They proved that in the first game, winning 3-1. Yeah. For us to go and get a point and leave ourselves with effectively a cup final to go and get the other 3 points that you need, and as Keith says, make history. No, what else? What else do people want?
I tell you another thing, Gavin. This is actually because I'm jumping up and down here when Billy Gilmer's not in the starting lineup to face Germany. I can't believe it. And then even last night, I'm watching, and Billy Gilmer's doing exactly what I expected to do to that team. Yep. He changes the balance, he changes the playing style, he transforms as a team. I know people say it's just one player, but it's a lot more than that. What Billy Gilmer brings when he's partnered with Cal McGregor, we've been discussing it since pretty much we got here. It's transformative as far as that Scotland team is concerned. So I'm watching the Germany game, can't believe it. It's exactly as I think it's going to be without him in the team. I then watched last night, and it's exactly as I thought it would be, because all of a sudden we've got a balance, or composure, we've got proper ball players in the middle of the park, we're actually building moves, it's everything that you want to see.
And it's a domino effect, because Gilmer comes in, people saying only one guy, the influence he has on Callum McGregor, in terms of the two of them playing together, the knock-on effect of that as Scott McTominay gets pushed further up the field.
Gets a goal.
The knock-on effect of that as he goes and gets a goal the same way as he did in the campaign. So
the point being though, Gav, right? Mm-hmm. I'm tearing my hair out, and me and Steve Clarke have kind of had a few exchanges over it. But he stuck to his guns, and he's by sticking to his guns, what I mean is he said, look, do you think that Billy Gilmer, one player, would have changed the performance or the result against Germany? I'll sit and argue all day long. He would have changed the performance. Would he have changed the result? Possibly not. Steve Clarke then comes in after the game last night. Not Steve Clarke from The Guardian, by the way, but the real Steve Clarke. He comes into the press room and he says, listen, look at Billy Gilmer at the end of the game. He was shattered because of the amount of work that he's having to get through in the centre of that midfield. Yeah. Now, Clarke appeared to be saying by that is, I could have played him against Germany and he could have done his absolute dinger, and it wouldn't have made the slightest bit of a difference, because we were never going to get anything realistically from that game. Has Steve Clarke looked at it and gone, I need Billy Gilmer for 2 group games. I need him fully functioning, fully firing for 2 group games, because if I've got that, I've got a team that can get 4 points. And I'm starting to come around to the conclusion that might be it.
Possibly.
It makes more sense than anything else.
I'm not sure. I
You think he just got it wrong?
I think Steve Clark went into the Germany game with a game plan. Whatever that was, we're still trying to work it out, the way the game went. But by playing Ryan Christie where he played him, by playing McTominay where he played him as a sitting midfielder, by playing John McGinn wide right, he obviously he was trying to, he must have tried to predict how the game was going to go, and to me it just went spectacularly wrong.
He did predict. He predicted that we'd need to go long and hoof long balls, and he was hoping that Ryan Christie might have the legs to get up and around Shea Adams and support and latch onto something. But we gave up control of the midfield. Tired of talking about it now because we've said it so many times.
Said it a million times.
We got it back. We seized control of that midfield last night, and you and I were talking before the game, and people were saying, "Oh, Granit Xhaka, he's up there with Toni Kroos and Modric." Not in the same planet. And our guys went out there last night, and I thought, it was a pretty even game, by the way. It was a 50-50 game, but we imposed ourselves in midfield, and for long parts I thought we dominated the middle of the pitch, and that's when Scotland are at their best.
Yeah. Scott, you mentioned Callum McGregor and Billy Gilmer coming in and getting the best out of him. The Celtic captain, 34 out of 36 passes, completing 94% success rate. Assists for the goal, done very well, but not everybody. Not everybody seems to have. Let me see. There we go. Alfie Mullen, it's a bit rich. Celtic fans having a go at Graham Souness when he said he forgot McGregor's name. Makes me wonder if McGregor was playing against the Swiss on Wednesday night. Not everybody seems to have been full of praise for Callum McGregor, but you think he had a huge part to play?
I thought McGregor was excellent.
He was excellent, and not only with what he did on the ball, but there was times during the game where you could just see him going another word with people, calming people down. Yeah. His management of the players, his man management during the game, absolutely crucial. He's just a wealth of experience. And see, there was a period of about 10-15 minutes towards the end of the first half, and you could quite clearly see that McGregor and Billy Gilmer were taking shots. Let's just keep the ball. Let's just take the sting out of this. The Swiss had a couple of near things. The two of them just went and said, right, do you know, for the next 10-15 minutes, we're just not going to give the ball away. And they hardly did.
When the two of them are at it, Gav, the two of them dovetail brilliantly. Gilmer right-sided, McGregor left-sided. Both of them can keep the ball, they take it in tight spaces, courageous on the ball, they'll take it in their own half and try and build the play. Honestly, I just think that the best, I've said this before, the best I've seen Scotland play in the last 2 years, has been when Callum McGregor and Billy Gilmer have been together in midfield, and I don't understand. I can't imagine a game that we go into where we wouldn't want the two playing as we're two sitting midfielders. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, if I've got an interview with Callum McGregor in tomorrow's paper, so obviously can't give away the details, but it's about exactly that. It's about this relationship that he's got with Billy Gilmer, and I said that I think that it might fast be becoming the nation's favourite double act since Jack and Victor, because that is the partnership that they've got in there. It makes everything else fall into place around the pitch, and it's so crucial. And we are getting injuries, and the Steve Clark's options are getting thinner and thinner. My main concern of the lot is I just want the two of them to be fit and firing, because I think. Even, John McGinn's not really come to the tournament yet. I don't think he's started. I'm hoping that he's got a big performance in him against Hungary, because you don't want John McGinn to come to the Euros and be remembered for doing a silly dance and wearing a stupid Bavarian hat. There needs to be a bigger moment for John McGinn than...
I wouldn't doubt McGinn though.
I don't doubt him. Nah. But what I'm saying is, in terms of how this team functions, these two are the first names in my team sheet. Of course, I want McGinn, and of course I want McTominay. But that in the centre of the midfield, they're the difference makers to how we set about trying to win a game of football.
Well, there's a live comment coming in from Greg Stott, all the way from Stratford, Ontario. Thanks for the great content. Would love to see John McGinn dropped a little deeper and being more involved in the battle at his swashbuckling best.
I know what he means with that, Gav. I know what he means with that, because ultimately John McGinn naturally is an all-action box-to-box central midfielder. And for club and country in the last year, he's probably had to play out of position a wee bit. Now with Scotland, it's actually worked for him because he went through that great spell where he was scoring, in almost every game. But he is playing in that kind of, that kind of number 10, but off the side kind of role. As I say, against Germany, he was pushed even wider, which was even more unusual for him. So, I mean, Jack will say that he's not really turned up yet. Listen, that might have something to do with it. He's maybe not playing in his best position. Because as I say, I think he is a natural central midfielder who'll just go all day box to box. And he's not really getting that chance. We're so blessed with that many good midfielders. McGregor, McTominay, Gilmer, even guys like Kenny McLean and that came into the game last night. So I can understand that a wee bit. I feel for John a wee bit.
Listen, I completely, before we make any wild accusations here, I've got no doubt in John McGinn. Yeah. But I don't disagree with the email there. I think that he could come back another 15, 20 yards and it might give him more space actually to get forward and run into, rather than just kind of stand up against these man. Look, John McGinn get through a mountain of work last night.
He does a job for it.
You need to remember that as well. But in the final third, I think that's where we're hoping that John McGinn's going to catch fire. And I'm hoping that the moment arrives on Sunday.
I think as much as he hasn't really caught the eye yet, Gav, I think if you ask Steve Clark,
he'll be thrilled
privately about the job McGinn's doing for the team. I think he'll be delighted.
Yeah, well, what I was going to ask you, not specifically, about John McGinn, but the midfield in general. Obviously, the big downside to the draw in Cologne was Kieran Tierney's injury, huge blow, such an important player, definitely out the Hungary game, possibly longer if we progress, we don't know the prognosis. Could that injury give Steve Clark an opportunity, do you think, to move to a back four? Do you think he would change the setup, means he could bring Ryan Christie in without sacrificing a midfielder? Or is he going to just bring McKenna in for Tierney as a straight replacement? Is it have to start switching around with the system?
Well, a few of the boys in the press box last night thought the next game he would maybe go to a four, which I was surprised at, because I don't think he will. I don't think there's any chance he will. I don't think he changed formation. No, with one game to go, when it's a must-win game to get through to the last 16. I mean, he might change formation during the game, but in terms of starting the game, I just can't see him. I can't see him switching for the back three. I thought Scott McKenna last night when he came on actually did really well, and we spoke about it during the game. He actually started bombing up the left wing, Kieran Tierney style.
Playing the position the way that Kieran Tierney plays the position, as if he's been sitting watching it in training. And this is a role that's kind of bespoke for Kieran Tierney. But McKenna appears to me to have looked, studied, and he seems to know the trigger points, when to go, when to sit. I think he sits in there. I get it that, I used to say the whole system was designed for one reason and one reason only, to get Robertson and Tierney into the same team. So if you don't have one or the other, then maybe it is time to go for a four. But I think McKenna plays it. I think the boys know the system inside and out. And the other thing that I'm going to throw into this is, Gav, I think it gives Steve Clark an opportunity to start James Forrest at right wing back against Hungary. And
that was the other question I was going to ask you, Keith, Scott. Obviously, Kieran Tierney is going to be an enforced change. The only other change that people might think about is right back. Anthony Ralston obviously got a lot of criticism. Mistake for the goal. Andy Robertson immediately after the game, very quick to praise his reaction to the mistake and in the way he came back. But still, a lot of people saying Anthony Ralston weak link and should be replaced. So do you think that is a move that he might make?
I think that Anthony Ralston had a really difficult night in the opening game against Germany, obviously. I think he was targeted. I think he was put under all sorts of pressure. And I think he left that game almost with an inferiority complex. I think that Steve Clark has tried to G him up, big him up, get him ready to go again against Switzerland. But he looked fragile. I mean, he looked fragile, and he looked as if he wasn't confident when the ball was coming into his feet. He's made the terrible mistake for Shaqiri's goal.
Yep.
He's also just got the worst luck in the world. That has to be Tony Ralston, doesn't it? It has to be him that ball comes to, that he that he happens to play a blind pass, and just Tony Ralston's luck that the player that drops perfectly into the path of is Shaqiri.
Shaqiri's
the one guy in that team that scores that goal.
He was the only guy that could have scored that goal. Listen, it feels like we're getting on to Tony Ralston, which is harsh. You know what I mean? He's obviously a decent player, but we know he's no first choice or second choice right back for Scotland. We know he's no first choice right back for
exactly.
He's only had about 8 games this season.
So it's tough on him. But I mean, as Keith says, I think he was targeted again last night. I thought that's the reason Shaqiri played last night. Shaqiri didn't play the first game for Switzerland. I think they looked at him and thought, nah, get Shaqiri in and around him, and we can create something. So what do you do? Listen, Steve Clark stuck by him. I will say one thing for Ralston. I actually thought, in terms of his mindset, to come back and play like he did in the second half, and listen, it wasn't brilliant, but to kind of compose himself and get through that game after such a big mistake, he deserves a bit of credit for it.
Testament to his character and determination, and that shouldn't be underestimated in any way. I just think in this game, the final game, and now the must-win game, that this is the time you need to take a bit of a gamble, throw of a dice. Yes, there's obviously defensive deficiencies by bringing in James Forrest and asking him to play that position. I'm not thinking so much about that. I'm looking at our back three and I'm thinking, well, do you know what? Jack Henry's sitting in there behind. He's got pace to burn. He can cover. I want James Forrest to get forward. I want him to carry the ball. I want him to retain possession when he feels that he can't get by his man. That's James Forrest's game all over the back. Now, I know he does it a little bit further up the field. There's no reason why he can't play the position. He's smart enough, he's intelligent enough, he'd give us a threat, and it'll be something that Hungary won't have planned for. I think James Forrest has the potential to be a really significant player, and that's why I'm sticking, if I was Steve Clark, with a 5 at the back, because I think that gives me the vehicle to get Forrest into the starting lineup, and I think that could be a real big move for us. And
there might be an argument, and again, this might be a bit harsh, and I'm sure Tony Ralston wouldn't want it, but there's maybe an argument just for taking him at the firing line.
I would have argued that before last night's game, and it's kind of compounded a little bit, although, as we're saying, to his credit, he didn't lose the plot. He knuckled down, concentrated on his job, and he got through the game. But yeah, he might be a little bit gun shy, and you can actually, do you know what? You couldn't blame him, because it's been two fairly torrid 90 minutes that he's been exposed to, and he's been exposed to. Mind as well, when you're playing right back, invariably one of the best players in Europe is playing in your area, and that mentally takes a toll as well. There's concentration levels that are involved. He's
already had Musiala, Wirtz and Shaqiri running at him for 180 minutes. You know what I mean? I'm talking about a guy that's, as Keith says, hardly played for Celtic this season. So
well, you mentioned Jack Henry there earlier, Keith. He will play in the 3 or the 5. He spoke to the media earlier, and funnily enough, Keith, he mentioned it was against Hungary that he made his Scotland debut.
That's right, I was there.
I was with you, and we we weren't sitting on the beers every night that night. It was a very quick trip.
Right.
But we did hear from him earlier, so I think we can hear what he had to say ahead of this game.
Hopefully we can continue this momentum now. It feels good. We felt we did ourselves a bit of justice last night in the performance, and hopefully we made the country a wee bit more prouder than what they felt as well after that evening in Germany. So yeah, it's a lot to look forward to now. Obviously it's in our hands going into that Hungary game, and something to really relish.
How big a blow will it be to have no Kieran Tierney for the Hungary game?
Yeah, obviously Kieran will be a miss. Obviously, hopefully the injury's not too bad. The squad rallied around him last night. Obviously not nice to see, but I'm sure the physio staff and that will assess that and see what extent of the injury is. But one of our strengths is our squad, and I thought Scotty came in last night and did extremely well and fitted into that, because it's not easy to come into such a pressurised game like that and in that stadium and do so well. So there's ready-made replacements there if Kieran can't make the game.
I think it all started for you, Jack, international level against Hungary the last time we played them. Can you take us back to that night?
Yeah, good memories. I think if I remember correctly, we won there, but I think it's always a special moment when you make your debut for your nation, and it was a memorable night for me and my family. Extremely proud, and yeah, I mean, I'll be relishing the chance to hopefully play against them on Sunday, and the same result will do fine.
Matt Phillips winner that night, wasn't it? I seem to remember, Keith, a lovely Matt finish.
I tell you what, you've got a better memory than me there, Gav boy. I remember being in Budapest, but I'm not sure I remember the game very much. I do remember speaking to Jack Henry after the game, funnily enough, because it was his debut, but the game itself was obviously a bit of a blur.
God, one of the things I actually remember from that trip, that moment, was I'm sure that was one where Scott McTominay didn't turn up. He must have been injured, and there was a panic because I don't think he'd played a game. It was the time when the tug of war was in the squad, and then he pulled out, and it was like, oh, is he going to go to England? But obviously, thankfully, Alec McLeish got his man, especially his last night shows. But the atmosphere seemed absolutely brilliant in Cologne. Our man Ryan Carroll was out and about before the game last night. And he was speaking to the fans and the locals who are saying Scotland are the best travelling fans over there.
German media are describing us as the best in the world. What do you think makes Scotland the best?
It's just our attitude to being friendly with everybody that we meet, being respectful, and just here for a good time.
I just think it's how they embrace the experience and about how they're here to enjoy it. The football's important, but it's also about the culture and the place that you come and about how you represent your country.
It's just our passion, and we don't, well, I mean, some people obviously do go overboard, but I think collectively we actually just come to have a good time, and we all kind of stick together, and there's not usually any aggro in that. It's a lot of good fun, and that's all we want to do is have a party and have
They say we're the best fans in the world. You're welcome in Germany anytime, and that's what makes us, but we know that anyway. Everywhere we travel, we're well behaved and we support our team.
Do you think we've got a chance to get out of the group after last night?
I think so, yes. More chances of me being sober. Right?
We'll get the win we need on Sunday.
I'll get the win. I think we'll get through the group. Yeah.
I think this is the time, yeah. Whereas at France '98, we'd kind of beat Morocco and it didn't quite happen. But I think it's different this time. I think we can. Yeah. I think we can do it. We'll get the result and we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah. Hopefully, but it's the hope that kills you. So who knows?
What about yourself? What are we going to get through?
I'm apprehensive.
Come on, Scotland! Ryan, that looked absolutely fantastic. How are you? Where are you, more importantly?
So we're now in Stuttgart. So we just travelled in. We only got here about 45 minutes, an hour ago. So we were in Cologne this morning, talking to fans, and then we got the train through, which was full of Scots, of course. And yeah, so we got here not too long ago. It's quite quiet, I have to say, compared to Cologne and Munich. But I think that's because there's probably a lot still in Cologne. So it's a bit of a quieter vibe tonight, which is quite nice actually for a wee change.
And what is the journey time then? Between, obviously, some people will just fly out for one game and they'll go straight to Stuttgart. But from Cologne to Stuttgart, is it 2 hours? Did you say?
2 hours, yeah.
2 hours, yeah. So just over 2 hours. There was a wee delay on the train, but that was fine. We caught up with loads of folk at the train station, so we were waiting for about half an hour for the delay, and then within 2 hours we were here. So it's not bad. We were talking to a guy when we arrived actually who has been staying through here and was at the game last night. So it's easy enough for folk to get to and from Cologne and Stuttgart. And I think probably we'll see tomorrow. Quite a lot of fans, probably thousands, will be arriving at the train station tomorrow.
Yeah, and what you can see, I mean, it's coming through in all the clips we're seeing on social media. Yesterday just looked unbelievable. The pictures in that main square, it was absolutely rammed. And then there was a march to the stadium. Did you see all that?
Yeah. So we ended up. So we had another reporter at the actual march, but we were at the fan zone and we were in the square with the fans beforehand, and it was amazing. It was amazing the amount of Scots that were there. And there was also Swiss that were joining them there, and everyone was all getting on, and it was all pals sharing beers and everything else, buying each other beers. And it's been a really, really good vibe. I think, just as the guys were saying in the video there, the German media have been saying this morning that, the Tartan Army are the friendliest army in the world, because of how well everyone's been received. And it's amazing, really, when you think about the amount of people that are here, the amount of Scots that are here, and the amount of bevy that's been drank, and everyone's been staying on their best behaviour, and we've left a good impression, which is really impressive.
Brilliant. Okay, well, Ryan, we'll let you go.
Yep.
You make sure you stay off the bevy.
Of course, be sensible, of course, as always. But maybe a couple of beers tonight, watching the football.
Don't listen to him.
But yeah, I have to say it's nice that it's just a wee bit quiet, but it's quite industrial compared to, well, the bit that we've been at. It's quite industrial and the sort of high-rise buildings and stuff compared to Cologne. So it's a bit of a different vibe. And I think tomorrow morning we'll head down and try and find some fans and see, maybe down by the fan zone, and see if there's folk floating about. But I'm sure by the train station we'll find plenty of Scots.
I tell you what. See, before you go, I have to mention, no names will be mentioned here, no names, no Packville, but there has been one Scottish sports writer on this trip who a couple of days ago was heard to remark, "My goodness, I'm starving. I've just realised I've had nothing to eat all day apart from 7 pints of lager." And it wasn't anybody.
Not guilty.
Very good. Okay, Ryan, thanks. Will you enjoy your quiet night?
Cheers, lads.
And I'm sure you'll bring us all the build up.
Stay safe, mate.
Cheers, lads. Right, okay, speak to you later. Cheers.
Thank you. So, Scott, just back, you mentioned, sorry, just to go back to matters on the part, I won't keep you much longer. I know you've got your dinner to get. It's amazing how the psychology changes, because, I mean, you were saying you think Switzerland are better than Hungary, right? But Hungary on paper, before this tournament, were seen as being our toughest game. They were unbeaten in qualifying. People were saying that Switzerland were the ones who were an ageing team. Hungary have now lost 3 of the last 4 games, including the 2 defeats here. So, you know, they're going to, the pressure is really kind of on them, you know, now, because they have no points. But actually, what gives me the biggest hope of all is that they've got a striker who would probably still give you, Scott, a hope of making a comeback. Have you seen him at the beginning of the Have you seen him?
The Hungarian Mark Yardley.
Right. Martin Adam, I hope to God this guy doesn't come back to haunt us now. But no.
You've just done us in there, Gav.
No, in all seriousness. Yeah, so I mean, it changes, but it doesn't. I mean, Hungary 0 points, or in a way, does that actually work as a negative a bit? Because Switzerland, if you know, Switzerland didn't have to go and win that game last night. See, when it was 1 each, they knew they were going through. Hungary, on the other hand, need to win convincingly because of the goal difference. I think
that's what's fascinating. I just can see it being a basketball game, just 10-10. I mean, that's what we keep saying, talking about a cup final. I mean, that's what it is. You know, a 90-minute cup final, essentially, for us to definitely go through, and obviously for Hungary, they'll hope that 3 points can get them through in the knockout phase. Listen, before the tournament, I did think Hungary would be dangerous just because of that qualifying campaign, not to get through unbeaten. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Soboslai is the main guy for Liverpool, and you're thinking, well, this guy's going to be a real danger to us. And it was probably more that I knew the kind of psyche, you know, the Scottish psyche, we would automatically think, oh, Hungary are easy. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't think that would be the case. But I just think that result last night, you said at the start, it just changes the dynamic, changes the mood within that Scottish camp. They were devoid of any belief against Germany, and I think they've just got a wee bit of that back. Gilmer coming in has helped with that. Obviously losing Tierney's a blow, but I just think we've got a wee bit of momentum now getting into it, and it's a small thing, it's only a point, but I just think we've got that wee bit of belief back again, and with the crowd. I mean, Ryan's took, what was the crowd like last night? That, honestly, that's one of the best atmospheres.
Gav, you and I have travelled a lot watching Scotland. I've been all over the place watching them. Hampden Park, there's been some special nights. There's been great, you know, and the Tartan Army very rarely let themselves down. See that last night? That was a different level.
It was brilliant.
It was unbelievable. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm out there, I wrote it in my match report, if I'm out there on that pitch, these boys must feel this. When the national anthem was getting sung, they would have felt it coming up through the soles of their boots. The place was shaking. Remember, there was actually a Swiss journalist standing in front of us who was looking around with his hands in the air as if what is this? What is going on? They couldn't believe it. And I've never heard a noise like it.
And I think you correct me if I'm wrong, Gav, but when I think for the game in Stuttgart, I think it'll be pretty much three quarters. I think it'll be 3/4 of the stadium. I mean, it'll almost feel like a home game against Hungary,
and
could be crucial.
And I'm going to throw another one at you here, right? In terms of, okay, Hungary, they will think they've still got an outside shot of a third place, getting through into the knockouts in third place if they get 3 points, right? Get that. Scotland are going in with their tails up here. Hungary have been turned over twice. That damages morale. I don't care what you say. They are not feeling as good about themselves as they did before they come into this tournament. We are starting to feel better about ourselves. Yeah. I'm telling you now, when does that become a factor? If Scotland get a goal up in the game.
Yep.
A game that Hungary know they have to win.
We need to start fast.
If we start fast and get a goal up, I could see them just saying, we're out of this. We're out of depth.
And I think if you stop
I think they could kill them quickly.
Yeah, and I think if you stop Szoboszlai playing, Gav, it'll go a long way to winning the game.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I won't keep you any longer, Keith. I just want to finish at the end. You're right, but you look at the history and it's the hope that kills you. 11 times Scotland have played the final game at a major tournament. On 10 of those occasions, they've had something riding on it, and they've needed it, and they haven't got what they've needed now. Sometimes it's been gold out. There's always been.
There's an off button in this. There's an off button here.
No, but Keith,
I want an off button in him, Scott. Have you got one? Gav, give it a break, man.
No, but Keith, you need to let me finish, because what I'm going to say is, but this time it's going to be different, okay? And I'm going to go the opposite, and I'm going to say we're going to play Spain or Italy, Turkey or Portugal, or Slovakia or Romania. So what I want to know is, would we beat all of them?
Gav, do you know this thing? We can't ignore the record, right? We can't, because it's a matter of history. It's there. It's in black and white. It's why every time a Scottish team, or whenever a Scottish team does manage to make it into one of these finals, you're thinking that's the first target. That's the challenge. Can you do it? Can you be the first? But this run can't go on indefinitely. It has to stop at some point. It will stop at some point.
Yeah.
You just got to keep your fingers crossed that it's now, because I think we've grown long and weary with these kind of heartbreaks and failures, and we always seem to find a different way to not qualify that nobody else has found before. Let's just do it this time, guys. Let's just do it. 3 points.
And by the way, I read all your permutations today, Gav. If we could get that Slovakia group, Romania.
Oh yeah.
I'm eyeing up the quarterfinals. me and Jacko could be here to July at this point.
That's it. Well, we'll get the pants sent out to you, or get down to the local shop, because you must be running out. You must. You're certainly running out of retro tops, Scott. I don't know. I don't think even the Tartan Army foot. So that many retro tops. Anyway.
Just remember, I have boxers for me, Y fronts for Jacko, right? That's what he likes to wear apart.
Is that extra large and medium, right?
Yeah, I prefer, the brown.
You like small, you like some tight.
No wonder people are talking about us.
Oh, no. Right, no more.
Gav, get us the 3 colours set. Maybe the sort of brown with the beige Y or something like that. Kind of like that kind of look.
You're putting me off my dinner, right? You enjoy yours. That was very good. Thanks very much for taking time. Enjoy Stuttgart.
Well done, Gav.
We'll hear from you tomorrow night. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.